Come to the shit show every single day. A new flavor of fuckery, cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, balderdash, poppycock, bollocks, and fuckery.
I always catch myself going, hey, at the end of that. I'm dumb. Oh my goodness. How are you today, Brett?
Hello, hello. Hope everybody's well.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Eh, all right, I guess. Like, oh, that shit's always getting me down over there. I try to
What do you do?
sometimes go after the headlines that maybe nobody's caught, but there's gonna be some headlines that everybody's talking about because how can you not talk about some of this shit? Anyway,
Yeah,
hugs to Curtis. Curtis says, I hate all the violence. I can understand that. It's a fucking mess, man. It is. Of course, hugs to you, of course. Hello to Miss Frosty. Meow. Oh, hello, JR Trucking. How are you, handsome? Darling boy. I'm glad you're here. Feel all warm and fuzzy. Oh, I should probably... Well, actually, you'll be able to see the chat as well when I share the screen. Oh,
yeah.
hello, Daniel. How are you? So glad you're here.
Hello, JR. Hello, Daniel.
My StreamYard's trying to tell me there's 2 people here. Bullshit. StreamYards, why are you always lying on me? God. Anyway. Oh, I feel all warm and fuzzy and shit, which is a nice change. All right, everybody, let's get into this mess. Cause dang it. All right, I'm keeping this one from the last time because I'm still flabbergasted by it. Like talking about they're gonna supposedly give the Hamas leader safe passage. I'm like, what in the Havara agreement is this? Like shit, they lying anyway. They're probably gonna give him a cell phone and send him off. That's probably what they'll do. Anywho, so this headline, all of a sudden we heard shots. So from what most of the news I was hearing was saying, they claimed that the guy who was hiding behind the fence, with the barrel sticking through the fence, was the one that fired the shots. Well, according to Trump and what he had said a day ago, that was not the case the way he made it sound. So let's jump in it. Former President Donald Trump publicly recounted Sunday's apparent assassination attempt against him in detail for the first time, praising the U.S. Secret Service and other law enforcement and the witness who took the photo of the suspect's car that helped lead to his apprehension. I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning, very peaceful, very pretty weather. When I read that part, I knew that it had to be him they were quoting just because of the way he says this kind of stuff. Very beautiful weather. Everything was beautiful. It's a nice place to be. And all of a sudden, we heard shots being fired in the air. I guess probably 4 or 5. It sounded like bullets, Trump said. Let's see. He said, it sounded like bullets, but what do I know? The Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets, and they grabbed me, which implies to me that it wasn't Secret Service that fired the shots. So that seems weird to me. So half the news I've been seeing says that the guy did not fire a shot, that the Secret Service saw him at the fence aiming the gun, and they fired at him, and he dropped the gun and ran. And now something like this is saying that the guy, in fact, did fire, is what it sounds like. So I don't know if they're going to... I think it's kind of bullshit. I think it's potentially bullshit to keep the attention, the sympathy, and all that on him.
Yes.
But I mean, I think the first one,
Yeah.
I really still think Nikki Haley was behind that first one. I really do, because if it had succeeded, she would be in his spot right now with her delegates and everything. So I think if that first one was her fault, and they're probably, maybe someone set this up hoping that he will keep getting that notoriety like he got in the first one, because everybody was like loving on him, fucking everybody. So he was probably, but honestly, they were going to set this up. I feel like they should have done it closer to October. Because, you got to ride that wave for like a few weeks. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it kind of wears off its novelty. But let's see. So we
Yeah,
were,
I don't know. I mean,
huh?
Camilla's done well. Like she had a rally there last weekend in Carolina, and I mean, she did well. Like, you
Right.
know, not that I'm a fan or anything, but credit where it's due, and they did really well. And even opposition was saying, yeah, like she actually had it together pretty good. So I'm sure they're a little concerned. I know
Probably so.
I know I'm an outsider looking in as being here in Canada, but it seems awfully suspicious. I gotta wonder, like, how many of these in quotes assassination attempts are actually serious? Because if they were, they would, pick up a long gun, a rifle with a scope, and all that. They wouldn't be using an AR or an AK.
Yeah, this guy had
It's
supposedly an AK-47 with a scope. Like, it's not impossible to bolt one of those on, but it's not designed for that. Really, it's very weird. I found that so bizarre. I've never seen that
yeah,
like in real life or in a movie.
it's very suspicious. It's like I said, it's not something I would take seriously as an actual attempt, but
Right.
use the AR. I mean, they're great urban combat weapons, right? So if you're fighting in neighborhoods or city, urban center buildings, whatever, these are great urban combat weapons that I'm sure they don't want them in the hands of citizens. So, like I said, anybody that would be, in my mind, serious would actually have a rifle, not these short range weapons. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up.
Oh, okay. So it seems to change a little bit here. He said, all right, so he's talking about the Secret Service agent. He goes, he started shooting at the barrel, started shooting in bushes, could only see the barrel. How good is that, right? Could only see the barrel. Which I think is weird. Like, how do you see a barrel? Especially if possibly it's aimed at you. It's a very small target. It looks very small. And he started shooting and ran toward the target and was shooting a lot. So those were the shots we heard. So you say he was shooting a lot. Like 4 or 5 shots is not a lot, really. So like it's I don't know, but sometimes he's kind of dramatic in the stuff he recounts, so it's hard to say. The other one never got a shot off. Okay. So I don't know. I don't understand how someone could have like an SKS and a scope and not manage to get a single shot off. That sounds so fucking bizarre to me. It sounds like horse shit, to be honest. So that's what I think it is. I think it's some kind of setup. I don't have the article on hand, but there was also talk today that before some rally, there was explosives on a car found, and the person supposedly jumped out of their car and ran away into the woods. I'm like, what? I haven't heard much about that. You think they'd be able to trace the car to whoever it belongs to, you know? I don't see the articles talking about it at the moment, which is kind of strange. But yeah, other stuff I've been watching has been talking about it. So supposedly it was another attempt. They're considering another attempt on his life today. Like, I feel like this is, I don't know. This seems kind of silly to me. Like, I feel like it's a bunch of half-ass attempts. Like, between someone having an SK or an AK-47 and someone having explosives in their car, you'd think somebody could have got this done correctly. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to kill Trump. I'm not. I'm just saying if your heart is actually into getting it done, it seems like they're failing very weirdly. It's suspicious.
Yes.
Like they're trying to get
Yeah,
him all the
definitely.
sympathy without actually getting him hurt.
Yeah. It definitely does seem to be like there's some kind of an attempt to like anoint him in some,
Right.
you know, messiah like fashion. So it's weird.
They are. They are. It's so,
It's
man, there's a lot of idol worshiping going on. It's
I was just gonna say it's almost like false idol worship to a
yeah,
degree.
it's gotten so out of hand. So this headline I thought was weird. So I'm just like, okay. So Ukraine's Buka, is that Buka? Is that how that's pronounced? Buka witches volunteer to shoot down Russian drones. That was such an odd headline. I'm like, you know what? Let's add this on because it sounds fucking weird to me. Oh my god. Valentina beams when she talks about her new vocation, a witch of Buka. That's a new vocation? I never saw that tent at the job fair, but okay. That's the unofficial moniker of almost 100 women aged 19 to 64 who are volunteers in a part-time military service in air defense units in the suburban community northwest of Kiev. It's just in time for Halloween, I guess. Fuck. Each Buka witch trains to handle assault rifles and machine guns to shoot down Russian drones that swarm above their homes several times a month. It seems unlikely. It seems weird that Russian drones would waste their time hovering over some witch's house. Does that sound like a wait? I don't know. I don't know how long drones can stay in the air without needing to charge, but that seems silly to me. Like, if you're just sending your drones, why are you spying on witches? That's some Halloween shit, you know? I don't know. The weapons fly toward Kiev to blow up buildings, prompting Ukrainian air defense forces to launch pricey, Western supplied missiles at them. The buzzing swarms repeat the rout of Russian ground forces in early 2022, when they occupied most of the Bucha district for 33 days and committed atrocities, now well documented, that captures the world's attention. Some of this is just some strange shit. I don't know. What do you think?
It seems a little odd. Like it's it's not like Russia wouldn't know that airspace already. They have other ways that they like. Why would you fly a drone low enough where you can take it out with a machine gun?
Right? And
Like,
why would you be
see, like
hovering over some witch's house? What the fuck?
yeah, like at that range, like it seems a little weird.
I feel like a lot of the stories we get from the Ukraine is like absolute weird ass horse shit they've thrown together. Like
It seems highly illogical.
it does.
Yeah. Who knows? It's so hard to discern between fabrication and reality with everything that's going on over there. It's
Right?
very muddied waters. The
Yeah,
fog
it
of
is.
war, as it were.
Because if these Russian drones are able to cause chaos, then like how are you going to be out there shooting something and it's not going to just light you up like Christmas? The fuck? I don't know. It just I don't know. Ukraine's just fucking weird. Really, they are.
Yeah.
Dark
DJ
Tourist.
B2 is in the chat. It says it's not that. It says SKS is pre AK-47.
Right, right. Yeah,
Hello, DJ.
meow meow. Let's see. So, dark tourism grows in southern Israel as visitors pay tribute to October 7 victims. I didn't know what to call that, but dark tourism makes sense. I feel like they kind of do that with a lot of things in general. I mean, people in general. I'm not saying Israel, but like in general, people do that. Like they like tugging at the heartstrings, and it makes money. And like I feel like it's weird to want to take a tourist trip to a place where people were killed. That just seems fucking weird to me. All right, and so this here it says southern Israel has experienced a rise in dark tourism as visitors flock to sites impacted by the deadly October 7th Hamas attack, the worst killing of Jews since the Holocaust. I mean, that seems excessive since they said 6 million people died in that. And like I feel like 6 million compared to what 3,000 seems like a steep number. Actually, no, 1,200. They said 1,200 died. They had to revise it actually because they realized like a lot of the people weren't actually Israelis. They couldn't tell. So yeah, they're comparing 6 million to 1,200. That's quite a thing. But okay. But let's make this a little bit bigger and make the captions where people can see it. Where? Oh, there it is. So,
As a general rule, I usually tend to never believe anything that comes out of there.
right. I'm trying not
There's
to trust
always
anything the news tells me. That's why I look at a bunch of different stuff, not just any one news source.
yes.
And if I only found one account, I'll be like, hey, I only saw one thing that said this, just so people, I'm not trying to bullshit nobody. I'm trying to counter that. Obviously, I can't counter the entire mainstream news, but, we got to do our part. But, so Israel's mentioned dark tourism. For an American visitor, it felt personal. How so?
They definitely seem to have been able to turn like victimhood into a product,
Oh,
a brand.
absolutely. Oh my God, absolutely.
They,
I
they
I
sell
know
it.
there's got to be some fancy word for it, and I can't think of what it is. But it's like trauma porn type shit, I guess. These people love it. It gets clicks, it gets views.
Sympathy.
Oh yeah, people love sympathy. There was this
Yeah.
TikTok. Well, I'll get to it in a second.
There's a history traditionally there of manufactured things to get that sympathy.
Oh, look at those! All those cars like up there for people to look at. I can assure you that people riding around on dirt bikes would not have been able to set that many fires on cars, but shit launched from a helicopter absolutely could. Just saying. Something looks like you just fell on top of that. Uh, what the fuck fell on top of that? Did one of the dirt bikes jump on it? Did they, this one right here. Hold on.
My name is Mackenzie Lapointe. I'm
And this one right here, this one looks like it's been here for a very long time. A lot of these look like they've been here for a long time. This is what I would expect it to look like right here, this white one. I would expect it to be in that kind of condition, but these look like they've been here for 50 years. Because I've seen vehicles rust outside for a while. It takes a while for it to look like this. I mean, this thing has been rusting for a long time, and yet this one, the paint's completely okay. So I feel like they fluffed up the cars and added more to make it look even more devastating. That's my opinion on it. All right, let's knock this one out. This is some creepy ass shit. Ohio sheriff suggests residents keep a list of homes with Harris signs in their yard. What the fuck? That sounds creepy as shit.
I've been talking a little bit lately about cancel culture.
Yeah, you want to go for this one? I sound like shit when I read.
No, go. Go ahead. I can't quite make it out on my phone here.
Oh, sorry. A sheriff in Ohio who made disparaging remarks about Vice President Kamala Harris and immigrants on social media suggests that residents compile a list of addresses where they see yard signs in support of the Democratic presidential nominee. Yikes, that's freaky. In a public Facebook post Friday, Portage County Sheriff Bruce Rukowski used anti-immigration rhetoric and denounced both Harris and her supporters. Oh boy. When people ask me what's going to happen if the flip-flopping laughing hyena wins, yikes, I say write down all the addresses of the people who had her signs in their yard. So when the illegal human locusts that she supports need a place to live, we will have addresses of the new families who supported their arrival. Yikes. And okay, so let's say that comes true. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna point guns at people and make these people live in their house? Come the fuck on. Are you shitting me? Like, really, what are you gonna fucking do with that information?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, that sounds like doxing and inciting hate and trespassing, and you're inciting crime there. Like it doesn't seem like conduct that's becoming of a law enforcement officer or agency.
Yeah, I agree. Zurkowski, the sheriff's office, and the Harris campaign did not immediately respond to requests for comment Monday. I bet not. The post Zurkowski shared also included TV images mentioning Aurora, Colorado, Springfield, Ohio, towns that have become flashpoints in the immigration debate. Springfield, in particular, has been subject to security threats amid baseless claims about Haitian immigrants living there. Former President Donald Trump amplified the claims at Tuesday's presidential debate, which drew more than 67 million viewers. They're eating the pets. Fuck. Oh my God. Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, has made similar remarks on social media, and he doubled down on them in an interview on Sunday, Meet the Press. Springfield Mayor Rob Rue has said a lie is tearing the city apart, the city of 59,000 residents. We'd like that to stop. Yeah, and actually, J.D. Vance actually was on TV and slipped and admitted that he said, if we have to make up stories basically to get what we want, we're going to do that. I mean, he actually fucking admitted it. Like, I watched him do it. He slipped twice, and then when she tried to corner him for a direct answer, then he's like, we've heard the people's, sworn story this was happening. And then the woman who originally started this, saying that the Haitians ate her cat, found out that her cat was actually hiding in her basement, and she apologized for it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So let's take a look at this guy. Yeah, look at that facial hair. That's exactly what I would expect. Now, the facial hair on its own is not bad, but when you add it with the kind of shit he's doing, then I'm like, yeah. I hope his wife is cheating on him with the pool boy. But
I mean, yeah, a lot of fear and propaganda being pushed, right? It's ruling and controlling the day.
I hope his kid grows up and marries an immigrant. God damn. Whew. And nobody can say, oh, that's violent. Nope, I didn't threaten any violence on nobody. Israel's UN ambassador slams world body, says Anwar taken over by Hamas terrorists in Gaza. They have been claiming that Hamas took over the UN RWA since it started. Since they were, they were pissed about their UN schools getting bombed. They were like, oh, you must be Hamas. And like, no, we're a school, So they've been claiming this for the longest fucking time. This is such silly shit. Oh my God. Israel's ambassador to the world body, Danny Danon, issued a scathing indictment of the UN, United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Sorry, I got a hairball. For Palestine refugees, declaring Hamas terrorists are running the organization in the Gaza Strip. Jesus Christ. Okay. So you're telling me these terrorists are helping refugees? Well,
anything that helps the Palestinians or gets them recognized or aids them in any way, it's all Hamas to Israel. Apparently.
Yeah, they were saying anybody who shares footage about what's happening to the Palestinians is helping Hamas. So it's like, and one thing, they're up there talking on the TV back in like November, I think it was. The guy said, showing the truth helps Hamas. And I'm like, does he not hear the words he just said? What? They're so bad at lying. It's crazy. I think it's what happens when you say bullshit for so long and no one questions you on it. You don't learn to perfect your ability to lie. It's the only thing I can guess. Like when a kid has like marker all over the wall, marker all over themselves, they're holding the marker and they're like, you do this? No, I didn't. They're not used to lying, so they're obviously terrible at it. This is what they are. This is kind of what I see. They're covered in markers. There's marking all over the wall, and they're claiming they didn't do it. Like, come on. Danon's remark came after last week's Israeli airstrike that hit the Anwar al-Juni school in the Gaza refugee camp. Danon questioned how long will the UN continue to bury its head in the sand and ignore the fact that Hamas terrorists have taken over Anwar. Jesus Christ, anything's Hamas, isn't it? Oh, hold on 1 second, everybody.
Hello, 9 Hertz. Hello, freaking.
All right, my daughter was giving me warning. She was turning on the blender, and she wanted to warn me because she knew I was live. And the kitchen is like not far from me. That's not too bad. But at least you gave me a heads up. All right, hold on. Dual Israeli citizenship is really big problem. Dude, yeah, especially in fucking office. I don't think if you have been elected or appointed to any political office or law enforcement office in the United States, you should not have dual citizenship anywhere. And I mean fucking anywhere. I mean, I don't care if it's Ireland and Scotland, which like my family's from. Still, if you're elected, then we need to be your priority, not someone else.
Yep. wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yum yum. All right. That blender is kind of throwing off my concentration. I'm not gonna fucking lie. Hello, frickin'. How are you doing? 9 hertz. I'm gonna have to look that up. I know there must be a meaning to that, but I don't know what it is. I wonder if it's like a hidden like frequency that they got rid of to control minds or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Where was I? Those who were killed yesterday, Wednesday, in the IDF strike were 9 terrorists with blood on their hands. Some of them participated in the barbaric massacre of October 7th. In case there are any doubts, there are the names of the terrorists who were at the school compound disguised as local Inwar employees. Oh, there's another list, huh? Y'all remember that? How he found this calendar? It was in Arabic, and he's pointing, going from left to right, going, see this? This is a list of the terrorists and their schedule of basically be in the tunnels, which I thought was stupid to watch the hostages. And first off, Arabic goes from right to left, not left to right. But it turned out it was a fucking calendar, and he didn't know it, but people who could speak Arabic translated it. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Huh, that's a weird name for terrorists, you know? So I'm sure they have another list. Okay. And the school, which was not operational, was being used as a Hamas command center. Bro, that's a stupid place to have it anyway, because, you know, the first thing they're going to target is hospitals and schools. If Israel loves nothing else, they love killing kids and medical workers. So obviously it'd be silly for them to be there. Now, this I've been wanting to talk about. So let's refresh this. Okay, a day ago. 9 dead and 2,800 wounded as Lebanon's Hezbollah hit by pager blast. First off, just because Hezbollah might use a certain brand of pager doesn't mean that other people don't as well. So it's possible that maybe that brand is one of the only brands they have that come to that country. Who knows? They may not have a fancy shit like we do, where we have Windows stores and all this other shit, or Apple stores, and go get fanciest different variety of stuff. So this might be the only brand they have available to them. So saying Hezbollah uses it, it's like, like, not to be a jerk, but this guy does not look like he's any kind of Hezbollah guy. He looks like he works in a grocery store. Like, look at the guy. Come on. Hundreds of pagers used by Hezbollah members exploded across Lebanon Tuesday, killing at least 9 people and wounding 2,800 in the blast the Iran-backed militant group blamed on Israel. Yeah. And here's why it says hundreds of pagers. Like, I don't know how many hundreds, but it caused 2,800 wounded and 9 dead. So I don't know how many hundreds there were, but I'm trying to figure out whose numbers are what here. Because that seems like a lot of results for only hundreds, unless they were in crowded areas. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military on the wave of explosions, which came just hours after Israel announced it was broadening its aims of war sparked by Hamas's October 7th attack. Because October 7th this and October 7th that. Like, I don't even care anymore at this point. Shit. To include its fight against Hezbollah. And so, all right, take into consideration, everybody. Where is it? My brain is, like, going. All right. So this happened hours after Israel said it was announced it was expanding its war. So what I find interesting is that all these people already had these pagers bought, you know, their number assigned to it, and been carrying it around for a while. So this tells me that they had planned this months and months ago. Like, I don't know where the article is offhand, so somebody might have to find it. But one source said that these pagers had been basically doctored up at the distribution center or in the factory. They weren't sure which one. There still seems to be conflicting reports on that, because probably nobody wants to get the blame for it, I reckon. So about 5 months ago, this was supposed to have been doctored up. So 5 months ago, at least, they knew they were going to do this to Lebanon. They knew it, which means they had already planned on doing this. They didn't care what, you know, they didn't care. They knew they no matter what anybody did, this is what they were going to do anyway. They had this planned months in advance, because to get the pagers and phones doctored up to explode, and then making sure that all of them are off the shelves and sold to customers and circulating through the population. It says, all right, it came hours after Israel. Yeah, because Israel had planned on doing this. It didn't matter what anybody did. It wouldn't have mattered if Hamas had surrendered yesterday. It wouldn't have mattered. They were going to do this no matter what. These people are fucking terrorists. I'm sorry, they fucking are.
Yeah, it's the blatant pre-planned terrorist attack for sure.
Yeah.
Hi Bones, hi Curtis, hello Sashi. Bone is asking who's still using pagers these days. Where do you even find a pager to buy? They have a lot of the healthcare workers in hospitals and stuff would use the pagers because they work on radio waves, so they're not using their cell phones and interfering with equipment and stuff, I guess. So as I understand it, anyways. So
That makes sense.
it wasn't just like, and people also forget that Hezbollah is also a political party. So you're going to have like, ambassadors and, political representatives and their aides and stuff like that, which are protected people too. So this is, under international law. So it's actually, it's an act of terrorism, and it's definitely war crimes. So
Absolutely. And they killed a 10-year-old girl, or 9 or 10. I mean, tomato, it's still horrible. And they were trying to fluff it up by saying she was the daughter of a Hezbollah member. I don't care. I don't care if her mom was Hitler and her dad was Osama bin Laden. I don't care. She was a 10-year-old child. She doesn't know what her dad does for work, even if he is a bad guy. She doesn't know what he does for work. She doesn't know what's going on. And that pager fucking killed her. Apparently, pager went off and the little girl was trying to bring it to her dad and it blew up. The kid didn't know. And this is why my dad was always against explosives. He hated the idea because he said they're so indiscriminate. If you set a bomb, you don't know who's going to be walking by when it goes off. Because when I was a kid, and I know people are going to look at me side-eye, but by all means, go ahead. I was like 11, and I asked my dad, Dad, can you teach me how to make bombs? Because I just assumed he knew everything. Well, actually, he probably did. But he was like, no. And I'm like, why? And I had delusions of grandeur of one day joining the IRA when I was like 11. My dad was like, no. Now I understand why. Because like the more I see things like this, the more I realize how right he was. Because in the movies, they make it look like, oh, the bomb got the very person it was looking for, right? And it doesn't always show the reality that it could also get somebody who's just walking by on the sidewalk that day, or pushing a stroller, or
even the IRA wasn't in conducting things like this, or I heard it said recently where could you imagine during the times of the IRA and everything that was happening there, if they suspected that there was somebody hiding in a school or something, that they just bomb and level the whole school, like students and all. Like what Israel's been doing is just it's way far and above and beyond anything we've seen, definitely in the last couple generations here. So
yeah, they're doing stuff so outrageous that they're doing stuff that even the UDF, the Ulster Defense Forces, and the IRA wouldn't have fucking done. And they did a lot of shit they weren't supposed to. But even they didn't do this shit. Like, this is extra fucking shit. Like, they're probably over there right now going, damn, what the fuck? Like, they're probably stunned by it. Let's see. The blast killed nine people, including a girl. Lebanese Health Minister Abad said in a casualty update. He added that some 2,800 people were injured, about 200 of them critically, with injuries mostly reported to the face, hands, and stomach. Because, a lot of times you have your pager, like, clipped to your, like, belt line. The 10-year-old daughter of a Hezbollah member was killed in East Lebanon's Bekaa Valley when his pager exploded in the family and a close source to the group said. So, yeah, a 10-year-old kid, like, they're going to say, oh, well, she was the daughter of a Hezbollah member, as though that makes it okay. No, you killed a 10-year-old girl. I don't care her dad was Hezbollah. I don't care. You kill 10-year-old children and you try to fluff it up by saying this. Like, no, fuck off. I don't care. At least he didn't kill a 10-year-old child. Fuck you. Well, I assume it's a he. I mean, it could be a woman. I mean, I don't know. They're lax on some things and not on others, so I don't know. But the point, nonetheless, it's so gross. And I saw footage of one bit of footage from it. There was a guy, I guess it was like a little surveillance camera they had in a grocery store, and this guy, there's like two people at a little fruits area, and they're bagging fruit, and one's side blows up, and like you don't see like blood burst off him, but you see it like explode outward, kind of like a oh, I forget what they're called, but like little point toward enemy thing, and it just kind of shoots straight across. A mine. Okay. No, I forget what they're called. Shit. It's the same. They call it the same thing they call those large Scottish swords. A claymore. Claymore. That's it.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
yeah, when a claymore goes off, it kind of shoots like straight across and out. And so this pager looked like it kind of did the same thing. So those two guys are bagging fruit, and the guy next to him, like, you see him flinch and start to run away. He's like, what the fuck? And the guy falls to the ground screaming in pain. The guy was just bagging some fruit. He wasn't doing shit. He looked like someone's grandpa, which, I mean, Hezbollah might have all ages members. Like, I don't know. But still. Let's see. In neighboring Syria, 14 people were wounded after pagers used by Hezbollah exploded. Again, they're claiming it's Hezbollah. If you doctor phones, pagers at the factory and send them out to be distributed, you can't be sure who that's going to actually go to. You can't be sure that a Hezbollah member will actually buy it. So I don't see how they would even know for certain that Hezbollah had their hands on one of these. It could have been anybody's. They're claiming Hezbollah because they want you to think, oh, well, at least it got a terrorist. How the hell would they even know? Honestly. Like,
the only thing that kind of makes sense is they would have to have somebody that was, you know, in the shipping receiving type deal thing where they were able to recognize they got an order for the, you know, the government of Lebanon, which is basically who this affected the most, is people that worked with the government and government employees and, you know, in the healthcare sector and etc. Like,
well, yeah,
that's
okay.
where it affected. So you'd have to think that they had some kind of, you know, interception of,
Right.
you know, this order came in for them and it was, you know, either done at the factory or, you know, taken up and intercepted somewhere after the fact.
Well,
Based
okay,
on
if they're doing it by
knowledge of what's going
orders, if they're like a company that only delivers on orders, then yeah, that would make sense. But I was picturing it kind of like just going out to the populace, going to an electronics store, and some random person just buys it off the shelf. Is what I was picturing. Because who knows how many other phones and pagers are set up to do this right now? There's no telling. But yeah, neighboring Syria. So yeah, they didn't just get Lebanon; they got people in Syria. 14 people in Syria as well. So Hezbollah blamed Israel for the blast and warned it would be punished. God, I only hope so. Jesus Christ. We hold the Israeli enemy fully responsible for this criminal aggression, the group said in a statement, adding that Israel will certainly receive its just punishment for the sinful aggression. Yeah, it's pretty bad. The United States...
I was just going to say, as I understand it, Israel actually has admitted responsibility for it, and I believe the name was called Operation Below the Belt.
Oh, yeah. Boy, well, they're right. It certainly is below belt to do something like this. I mean, boy, you got to like a self-aware motherfucker, huh? That's an appropriate name. They have absolutely no fucking shame. The United States...
They're quite open about everything they do, actually.
Yeah, they've gotten more so. Even when they were trying to deny it at first, they were killing civilians. They were denying they were killing kids. And then when they realized that nobody was going to actually stop them, they're like, you know what? We don't even have to lie no more. I mean, the audacity is insane. The United States, Israel's top arms provider and close ally, was not involved. Of course they weren't. Sure, said CIA. And not aware of this incident in advance. The State Department spokesman Matthew Miller. I'm sorry. First off, maybe not everybody, but I'm sure some fucking knew. That way they wouldn't accidentally send it to politicians that, you know, are on their side. The afternoon blast hit Hezbollah strongholds across Lebanon and dealt strongholds. It hit strongholds, really? Like that grocery store? I saw that guy get like hurt in from his pager. Like that little grocery store? Was that a stronghold? Fuck. Lebanon and dealt.
And there was reports of them going out, you know, people driving down the road too and stuff. Like, it was
exactly.
It has a bigger impact than just, you know.
I guess those are all Hezbollah strongholds. They're doing anything to try to make this sound better than it is, and dealt a heavy blow to militant group. Whatever. I'm sure that 10-year-old was a militant, sure, which already had concerns about security of its communications after losing several key commanders to target airstrikes in recent months. Unbelievable. Hezbollah instructed its members to avoid mobile phones after the Gaza war began and to rely instead on the group's own telecommunications system to prevent Israeli breaches. Hundreds of Hezbollah members were injured by a simultaneous explosion of their pagers in the group's stronghold in Beirut's southern suburbs in South Lebanon in the eastern Bekaa Valley, a Hezbollah source said, requesting anonymity. Yeah, because they have a Hezbollah source. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, maybe somebody was reporting what they saw, I guess, but yeah, they're saying hundreds of Hezbollah. All right, hundreds of Hezbollah were injured. So how many? Because that said that 2,800 people were injured by this, and 9 dead. So hundreds of Hezbollah members. So explain the other 1,000, the other 2,000. Explain them then. Sounds like you got a whole bunch of innocent people is what it sounds like. The AFP journalist saw dozens of wounded being taken into hospitals in Beirut and the south, where dozens of ambulances rushed between the cities of Tyre and Sidon in both directions. Educational Minister Abbas Halabi announced the closure of schools and universities on Wednesday in condemnation of the criminal act committed by the Israeli enemy. Israel expands war aim. Oh, no shit. Earlier Tuesday, Israel announced it would be broadening aims of the war sparked by Hamas attacks to include its fight against Hezbollah along the border with Lebanon. To date, Israel's objectives have been to crush Hamas and bring home hostages seized by Palestinian militants. No, they don't care about the hostages. They've been killing more of their hostages than Hamas has, even by accident. The Political Security Cabinet updated the goals of the war this evening so that they include the following section: a safe return of the residents of the north to their homes, because apparently now, some Israelis have been uprooted and can't go back home. Aw, that must suck. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said in a statement, since October, the unabating exchange of fire between Israeli troops and Hamas ally Hezbollah in Lebanon have forced tens of thousands of people on both sides of the border to flee their homes. Not formally declared as a war by Israel, the exchange of fire between Israeli troops and Hezbollah have killed hundreds of mostly fighters in Lebanon. Mostly fighters. Well, they're admitting that at least some of them aren't. And dozens on the Israeli side. I don't know. On Monday, Israel's defense... Huh?
Sorry, I was just going to add there that I've been following Dimitri Lascaris.
Yeah.
He's been in Lebanon a number of times in the past couple of months, right down at the Israel northern border there, and giving coverage. And he was able to go and tour the site where they did the targeted attack of the assassination they did there. Israel did, and he's been following. He's great for boots on the ground. He's been covering everything going on there, as well as a lot of stuff going on in Venezuela. So, excellent source.
Ooh. Has Dimitri come out with anything about what's been going on, these attacks in Lebanon?
They just did a live or uploaded a video like yesterday, day before.
Okay, good. Because I think we should look at that. I'd be interested in hearing what he's got to say about it. Let's see. Before the wave of pager explosions, Israel said it killed 3 Hezbollah members in a strike on Lebanon on Tuesday. The possibility for an agreement is running out as Hezbollah continues to tie itself to Hamas. Gallant office quoted him as telling the visiting U.S. My TV's glitching out. Hold on. Okay. Visiting envoy Amos Hochstein, I guess. Netanyahu later told Hochstein that he was seeking a fundamental change in the security situation in Israel's northern border. Hezbollah Deputy Chief Qassem said that this weekend that his group had no intention of going to war, but that there will be large losses on both sides in the event of an all-out conflict. And then, of course, Tony Blinken's got to get in this shit because fucking dipshit. I hate this guy so much. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was due back in the region to try to revive stalled ceasefire talks for Israel, Hamas, and Gaza. After months of mediation, negotiation failed to pin down a ceasefire Washington said it would still be pushing sides for finalize an agreement. They're not going to fucking do it. Israel's paying them too much to actually do anything useful. And I think I may have found one of the motives that is pushing so much of this to keep on going. Palestine has been accepted into BRICS. Let's see. Apparently in August, Palestine was requesting to be able to join, probably hoping that it will give them some sort of protection, which God knows they needed. And apparently, they were accepted. I guess Vladimir Putin gave them an invitation to join. Well, thank goodness. Good for Putin. Because these folks, they need some kind of relief. They really fucking do.
They need all the help they can get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Russia seems to be one of the few superpowers who isn't bribed by Israel. Our government certainly is. In fact, I'm surprised they even bother putting the American flag anymore, honestly. Shit.
There have been a lot of people from Russia that have went to Israel. Like there are, quite a number of, in quote, Russian Jews type deal thing. But it does seem to be some like fighting among the oligarchs, let's say.
Oh, yeah.
It's not everything that I think is as it seems or as it's portrayed, and there definitely seems to be some fighting amongst the elites right now about directions things should go. So it's quite interesting. The Palestinian invitation to BRICS is definitely interesting. So something to keep the eye on for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I was looking at TikTok and some like faceless, almost nameless TikTok account commented that this was happening probably because Palestine was accepted to BRICS. And I was like, ooh, usually those accounts usually troll, but I'm interested in this. So I went and Googled it and I'm like, son of a bitch.
And when were they accepted into BRICS, their story?
Apparently 3 days ago, according to this. Or it was reported 3 days ago. In August 27th, they requested to join, and this says 3 days ago they were accepted.
Gotcha. I was just wondering if there's this procedure started in, say like August 2023 type deal thing. Where
no, it was all this year, I think. Let's see. President of Palestine, National Authority. Nuki, be quiet. My cat's in heat. She won't shut the fuck up. She doesn't like the sound of my pellet gun, so if she hears it, she runs, and I don't have to hear her for a while. The information was confirmed by Palestinian ambassador in Moscow, Abdel Hafiz. Man, this is hard to name these. Who pointed out that the president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, accepted the invitation to participate in BRICS summit to be held in the Russian city of Kazan. Nafel said it had not yet been decided whether Palestinian representatives would be occupied by Abbas himself or whether the Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa would take his place. But he stressed the importance of having a Palestinian representative at the event, regardless of who finally comes on behalf of the PNA. Maybe the U.S. government might finally get what it fucking deserves. Because isn't BRICS a financial thing? Bringing out a new currency and everything?
Yeah, they're trying to get away from the usury monetary system currently.
Well, the state's going to take a dive.
So I said it's quite interesting that they've been extended this invitation and are, now joining part of this, union essentially. It's highly fascinating.
Oh, hello.
It's good. It's very good. I view it as very positive.
Oh, hello,
Good.
G. Is me. Does a commenter take chat questions? I will do my best. Sure. Oh yeah, he says,
I got a fan
okay.
club.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I have it full screen, I can't see what's going on here, and I have to rely on Brett to tell me what's being said or to answer. Putin is Chabad. Is Chabad? Oh, a Chabad. Oh, I don't think he's Chabad controlled. I don't know. I mean, he might have been at one point, but he doesn't seem to be now. He might have broke free of that mess. There are videos if you can be bothered. For what? For this? I had to dig for a while. I'm highly upset about that. Because they don't know, they don't have a guarantee of knowing who actually had the pagers. It killed a 10-year-old kid, and it got in medical workers and a bunch of other people who use pagers. So not exciting at all. It's quite bad. All right, let me see. Is there something over here?
It definitely is. It just reeks of pre-planned, like state-sponsored terrorism. It really
Yes,
does.
All right, hold on a second. Let me go and find the thing, because you sent me something. I had to go back and look for it. Oh, let's go. All right, so I'm on the channel. I can see. Okay, cool. Let's. Where is my? There it is. Okay. Present screen. All right, we can take a look at what they're talking about here. Ah, my mouse is shit. Sorry.
No, it's all
Good
good.
evening. This is Dimitri Lascaris coming to you from occupied Cyprus, the Greek Cypriot part of occupied Cyprus, on September 17th, 2024. I'm joined this evening by my regular guest, geopolitical analyst extraordinaire and executive director of Free Palestine TV, Laith Marouf from Beirut. Thank you again for joining me, Laith.
Well, thank you for having me. It's good to actually speak about this as fast as possible, this big news story that we're here doing this emergency broadcast for.
And this, of course, refers to the terrorist attack perpetrated by Israel this evening in Lebanon. Let me just say at the outset that we are operating here in less than ideal conditions because we were not planning to have this interview, but we're going to do the best that we can, including having to manage a weak internet connection and some background noise. My apologies for that, but it can't be avoided. Laith, what do we know at this stage?
What we know is this afternoon, the Zionists committed a cyber terrorist attack. They targeted parts of the pagers that are in this country, specifically targeting geographic zones like the Bekaa Valley, the south of Lebanon, and the southern suburb of Beirut. For those who don't know, pagers do not use internet or the cell network, use radio waves for the communications. So, this attack resulted in the injury of at least 3,000, according to the Ministry of Health here in Lebanon, 300 of which are, at least 300 are in critical condition, with 9 martyred. 2 of them are children, 1 of them a toddler. And so these are the basic information we know about it. The pagers that were targeted, their batteries exploded. And we know for sure that the Israelis were responsible for this, since the Israeli media is gloating, actually, and have created an military operational name for what happened. They're calling it Operation Under the Belt, because most of the injuries, given that people wear their pagers on their waist are either in the lower limb and or in the abdomen area. So this, seeing how the Israeli media is gloating shows you another level of their depravity.
There's a certain poetic irony to that operational name, below the belt. The Israelis, in typical Zionist fashion, view it as some kind of a clever quip.
Oh, the irony wasn't lost on him either.
To most normal human beings, striking below the belt is considered to be dirty and dishonorable. But on the other side of the border, apparently, this is something to celebrate. In any event, I want to read to you and our audience, Laith, a tweet that was put out by the ever courageous and honorable American Edward Snowden. Personally, I feel he's, if not the finest, one of the finest Americans of our time. And this is one of the tweets he put out this evening. There are two. I'm going to start with this one. He wrote, "What Israel has just done is, via any method, reckless. They blew up countless numbers of people who were driving, meaning cars out of control, shopping. Your children are in the stroller, standing behind him in the checkout line, etc. Indistinguishable from terrorism." Laith, I have no doubt that you would agree with these sentiments. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you blow up thousands of pagers simultaneously, there is going to be widespread collateral damage, because you simply don't know where the pager is at the point in time at which you detonate. Based on what you know, how much of this is collateral damage? In other words, have we learned of cars spinning out of control, people being killed in grocery stores or maimed in grocery stores? Do we have any sense of that at this stage?
Yes, there's many videos filmed by bystanders and security footage of these pagers blowing up in grocery stores and other public spaces like that, and people while they're driving and accidents happening. What we know also is that the vast majority of those who are injured and martyred are actually civilians. And the biggest demographic of those injured and martyred is health workers, given that so many health workers around the world have to deal with the implications of not being able to bring a cell phone into hospitals, and therefore pagers are the safest way to communicate with medical workers in those areas. So this is a deliberate, vengeful act, and we know now that also it is Unit 8200 of the Israeli military intelligence, Aman services, that committed this attack as revenge for Hezbollah, targeting and destroying their headquarters 2 weeks ago outside Tel Aviv, and killing at least 30 members of the Aman and military intelligence services. So this is the way the Zionists work. When they are faced with a competitor that is facing them on the military field and is winning man to man, military to military, soldier to soldier, what they do is they target civilians in vengeance. So this is a terrorist attack. This is as Ibrahim al-Musawi, member of parliament here in Lebanon, who represents the loyalty bloc that is affiliated with Hezbollah, he said this is a ethnic cleansing crime with all of the components of the ethnic cleansing category legally. And one last thing I would say is that Hezbollah is never shy of announcing their martyrs. And they've already announced one of the martyrs is the son of another member of parliament that belongs to the loyalty bloc. And there's a funeral house that all the politicians in the country since this afternoon are going to and paying their respects to the family. This is the second son of a MP that belongs to the loyalty bloc that has been martyred since the beginning of the genocide in Gaza. So that shows you how Hezbollah and its members and its leadership specifically are always there to give out of their blood and flesh and their families as much as every other member of the resistance in Lebanon. They are part and parcel of the people. They do not separate themselves. It's not like the sons of Netanyahu that are hiding in Florida, right? It's not like the sons of the elite in the Zionist colony that are all sitting in New York, in Toronto, in London, in Paris, and letting the poor of Israel fight this war. Hezbollah is an honorable national liberation movement, and it's giving the best of its nation to the liberation of Palestine.
Funny you should mention that, Laith, because the very reason why I am in occupied Cyprus is to investigate the presence of affluent Israelis here. They have flooded into Cyprus and Greece during the last 11 months as the Zionist genocidal entity has collapsed. But I want to go back to Unit 8200. As I understand it, this is the more or less the Israeli equivalent of the NSA, the National Security Agency in the United States. Is that correct?
Oh, no, the Aman is the military intelligence. Okay, so Unit 8200 is part of the military intelligence.
I see.
The CIA will be like the...
Not the CIA,
Mossad.
the NSA.
Sorry.
The
The
NSA.
the NSA is not also part of the military. And
Right.
there is a military, I don't know the initials for it, but there is a military intelligence apparatus in the US that's separate than NSA. And,
Right. Well, in any event, I understand that the head of Unit 8200 resigned after the retaliatory strikes by the Islamic resistance. He gave as a reason the massive intelligence failures of October 7th, but for some reason waited until the retaliatory strike on facilities of Unit 8200 to actually resign. Do you have a view about whether or not the resignation was actually tied to wholly or partly the effects of the retaliatory strike on Unit 8200?
Yes, it is definitely 100% related, his resignation, to that. And Hezbollah, which very rarely does this, actually confirmed to Al Mayadeen television that they managed to actually hit the headquarters of the Aman, multiple buildings in the compound, and that at least 30 of the members of Aman were liquidated. I would say one other resignation or forced resignation or firing that just happened after this attack today on Lebanon is the firing of the Minister of Defense of the Zionist colony. Netanyahu just fired him. So why did that happen? There is clearly a disagreement about the attack that happened today, this cowardly, below the belt, under the belt terrorist attack. And in fact, it's clear that the United States were not informed of this. And the schisms within the Zionist colony and the schisms within the empire are just widening as this war continues. And it's clear that Netanyahu believes the only way he can hide all the chasms that are forming between the parts of the elite in the West around this issue is by forcing an expansion of this war to silence those who are talking about what's happening inside the Zionist colony, what's happening to its military, what's happening on the ground in Gaza and the West Bank. His only option is to expand this war. And looking at Hezbollah's public statement that was issued just shortly after this cowardly terrorist attack, Hezbollah used verses from the Quran, signaling how serious the what happened and their response is going to be, and they said that the response will come from places though the Israelis cannot even imagine. Okay, so it may be that Netanyahu gets what he wants finally, because this is different than assassinating a leader in Hezbollah or military apparatuses. This is wide terrorism that covered the whole country, that overtook all the medical needs of the country right now, stretched them to the max. And the vast majority are civilians, and therefore Hezbollah has a responsibility to act in kind. So I want to connect it to one last thing. Yemen yesterday was hitting that hypersonic missile. Abdul Malik al-Houthi, that's the Secretary General of Ansarullah in Yemen, said we are entering stage 5 now of this war, and clearly that is confirmed today by the attack of the Israelis, and we should be expecting a response that we haven't seen the likes of from Hezbollah in the stage 5 of this war.
I just want to park the response for a moment. I have a couple of questions about this. But before we get there and delve into that more deeply, I want to read to you a second tweet from Edward Snowden. As information comes in, this was about 4 hours ago, as information comes in about the exploding beepers in Lebanon, it seems now more likely than not to be implanted explosives, not a hack. Why? Too many consistent, very serious injuries. If it were overheated batteries exploding, you'd expect many more small fires and misfires. And then the Rolling Stone of all outlets put out a piece very quickly. This is by Mac William Bishop, and he says a massive strike targeting hundreds of Hezbollah operatives and their associates via exploding pagers was likely the culmination of a complex intelligence operation that took months to execute, according to a Rolling Stone analysis of images and videos related to the attack. As news of injuries related to exploding pagers across Beirut began to spread, so too did rumors that Hezbollah operatives were being targeted in a cyber warfare operation designed to make batteries used in secure communication devices explode. Videos of the exploding devices indicate the effect was unlikely to have been achieved due to a hack or cyber warfare operation, a US source tells Rolling Stone, an assertion consistent with this reporter's prior experience with munitions and advanced military training in both explosives and electrical engineering. Instead, it is far more likely that an intelligence organization intercepted the devices, remnants of which match a type of Motorola pager, at some point prior to delivery and retrofitted them with internal explosives designed to be triggered remotely. This is not the only reference I've seen to Motorola this evening. I've seen a couple of other references. You indicated the US government doesn't seem to have been apprised of this. Motorola is known to have very close connections to the military in the United States.
That doesn't surprise
Have you heard anything to the effect that Motorola may be, obviously a lot more work would have to be done to establish whether this is in fact the case. But in Lebanon, are people asking whether Motorola or some other company involved in the manufacture or delivery of these devices was possibly cooperating with the Israelis in this terrorist attack?
Look, there is 3 theories being floated there in the media here in Lebanon, and not by conspiracy theorists, but by seasoned, military and intelligence experts. And I'm going to list those theories from the most likely to the least likely. And the most likely is that there was a radio jamming interference directed specifically to a geographic zone, that there is a backdoor already in these Motorola pagers, and they are Motorola, and that was created in design for it to allow intelligence agencies of the West or Israel to do this explosion in these batteries, and or that there was a hack. This is still in the the first theory, that there is a hack without the knowledge of Motorola of their software and what have you, that somebody used this weakness and led to this explosion. The second option is that Motorola and the Israelis implanted these explosive devices in the factory before they were sent to Lebanon, and somehow they knew that this shipment was going to reach Hezbollah fighters. But as we see, the vast majority of the injured are not Hezbollah fighters. So this, and the third option is this fantastical Hollywood James Bond option that says that the Israelis intercepted this shipment somehow and implanted these explosives, and that Hezbollah is so stupid that they didn't check on these devices before they handed them out to their members. You see, what you hear in the Rolling Stone and what you're hearing in this other article that you read is asking you to believe that Hezbollah is stupid, that they don't actually open every device that they purchase and investigate before they put it out on the field, which is a ridiculous thing to say. So I think this third option is the least possible to have been the reason that we see the explosion. It could more probably that either Motorola was collaborating with the Israelis to give them a backdoor to these devices, and or the Israelis somehow hacked these devices and directed the batteries to explode. And I would say they are looking at the videos. There's hundreds of videos of people in hospitals with holes this big on their side, in their stomach or on their thigh or on their chest, or where they were putting the pager in the top pocket here. This is not a huge explosion that took out a whole person. I mean, a little bit of C4 would take out somebody's head. Well, you wouldn't see any. There will be no internal organs left. Okay, they will be all out. It's not like a small hole. So it does not make sense that it is implanted explosives, but we will see in the next few hours and days as the Hezbollah and military intelligence and intelligence services here in Lebanon complete their investigation. We'll get more details.
Whatever the reality may be, the fact that this is American-made equipment and that it was used in this fashion on a mass casualty scale, this is one of those, unintended consequences that almost invariably flow from Israel's innovative sadism. A lot of people might be asking themselves in the days and weeks ahead, do I really want to have an electronic device manufactured by a Western corporation attached to my hip, in my purse, in my hand, sitting next to my child as I'm watching television or mowing the lawn? I would imagine that this is going to raise serious questions in the minds of many people, particularly in the non-Western world, about the safety of using devices like this that are manufactured in the West. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, if you can blow up the battery of a pager, you can blow up the battery of a cell phone. You can blow up the battery of a laptop, or a pad, an iPad, or even smart TVs, or the even bigger issue in the houses here in Lebanon, those lithium batteries that are connected to the solar panels and the smart devices to regulate this lithium.
Hold on a second. So let's see, where is it? All right, so he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" All right, so this is this live stream is two guys are talking about the terrorist attack that happened in Lebanon. The Israelis rigged pagers and stuff to explode, and supposedly it was to target Hezbollah, but it got a lot of regular people. It got medical people. It got kids. It got a bunch of people, and they're talking about like how it could have been done and whatnot. That's basically what was going. Hold on. Oh
I had
yeah,
an interesting I
huh?
had an interesting thought as well when
Oh
I
yeah,
was watching that again, and that was if this is Motorola is associated and affiliated with military personnel, American military. What's to say that they wouldn't have some kind of a backdoor or a failsafe so that this communications devices aren't falling into enemy's hands and that they can remote detonate them. I mean,
exactly.
that actually would kind of make sense, right? If you don't want your communications falling into enemy hands, you can just remote detonate them and, etc. So that could be something that I don't know. It's possibility. I mean, anything's possible at this point in time.
Right.
There's got to be. It's very curious how. I don't know. It almost seems. I kind of agree with the gentleman from Beirut, Lebanon, there that is host of Palestine TV. Um, Talking about the interception of this shipment James Bond style is probably the least likely, and that it's might be more aligned or akin to something where this might already be built into the system as some kind of a failsafe, and
It
it's
could
being
be,
exploited or
but
something.
but the the kind of brutality it takes to rig phones to blow up and do this, I feel like it's more than a cyber attack. I feel like it's more than just shutting down the fail safe to stop the battery from overheating. Because I
Well,
mean, batteries have exploded before and has not caused the amount of widespread damage this did.
yeah,
Remember, everybody
I
was
agree.
freaking
Although
out when
that
they lost
was
the
that
one of
was
the
different. That
Samsung
was
7 or
that
something.
was Samsung cell phones and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
these are
but that,
this is
and
different where it's
2,800 people weren't hurt during that. So I feel like this was
and
so
those were more fires like
right. And I and
more fire based, like Snowden said in his tweet there, or whatever that Dimitri read, where it
yeah,
was, if it was a battery, overheat or explosion, you'd see more fires, more small localized fires, etc. You didn't see that so much as explosions.
yeah, it was
So
explosions. It wasn't like just like phones, like just burning, and fizzing away or whatever. But yeah, I and like I said to you before we went live, that and yeah, you knew this as well. That if you got a bit of C4, the size of a dime, little thin flat piece, and just put it in a phone, and had it connected to whatever it needed to connect to, because I'm not a Bono expert. That small dime size amount would be enough to blow off half of someone's face, and it wouldn't. And
well,
you put that in a cell phone, especially some of
I
those
just
big cell phones, like the folding one, the one that has the screen where you open it up and it folds open. Like that would be thick enough you could put it in there easily.
to Israel openly kind of quite brags about doing a lot of the chips and technology that go
Oh
into
yeah,
the
shit. They
cell phones and etc. Right?
oh
So
fuck. Hold
I
on.
mean, for that matter, they could be building it in themselves, shipping the chips over. Motorola could be installing it into their units without even knowing, and then they could be going out and Israelis could track whatever they had needed to or wanted to or had to track or whatever. I mean,
Oh
it's an entire world of possibilities, right?
shit.
I'm not ruling anything off the table. That actually would be quite a plausible explanation, just based on how many times I've heard Israelis brag about how, like, all your cell phones take our chips, all your this take our chips. We export our chips around the world. They're
What
they're
what
laptop.
company?
I know a guy that worked doing security for an oil patch, or for the oil patch, and he's traveled around quite extensively. And when he ran into a problem that he or nobody else seemed to know how, he would call the Israelis. He'd call Israel, and they'd have it like patched and fixed immediately. He's like, they know their shit. When it's like, yeah,
Hi,
that's because they manufacture it and etc. So
Brett. What company makes the chips that you're talking about?
Well, I know there's Hewlett Packard that makes the laptops and computers.
Because I remembered something from a few months ago.
I do believe IBM also is highly connected. Like they
Intel.
have they're quite high and extensive in the technological world of computers, operating systems, security,
The chip
etc.
maker Intel
You know, there was
had
years
planned on
ago
having a plant
there.
there.
It was exposed years ago that they had spy software on WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is actually Israeli, and it's actually still used around the world. There's lots of I see videos all the time of people. You have WhatsApp numbers and etc. And
Brett,
that's Israeli and busted before for having spy technology. So it's
Brett, can you see this on your phone?
Intel, yeah,
Yeah,
Intel, that's the one.
they had a $25 billion deal temporarily in June. Would these chips be what you're talking about? Does Intel make these?
It makes me curious.
Right here, a 50-year love affair with Intel and Israel. Hold on.
I mean, I've heard them brag so much about how they make all the chips for cell phones and shit. It's quite curious, right?
So this is from March 8th of 2024. Intel has stepped up to the plate to help fill the gap in the chip supplies caused by the China embargo, which I didn't know they had an embargo, and is building a plant in the U.S. as well as Israel. Hold on. And I was telling you that, like, before we went live, that what if they've done this to computer monitors as well? So if they hack into someone's system and sees who's sitting in front of the keyboard, they can detonate the monitor. What if it was something like that?
Your
And
power supply,
yeah,
like on a laptop, your power supply.
yeah.
Yeah, it does. It certainly raises questions. It raises questions worth asking, and seeking some answers too. I guess.
Will invest 15 billion in manufacturing in Kiryat Gat, which I don't know how to pronounce that, and added to the 10 billion investment announced in 2019. In return, the government of Israel will provide Intel with a grant of 3.2 billion, the largest ever of its kind. This is, if they're not already doing it, this is how the Israeli government is going to be able to spy on all of us. The NSA won't even be a thing anymore because it'll be
100%.
Israel's military and government spying on us because their chip manufacturer they're in love with, and all our shit takes Intel.
It's been reported numerous times. I'm not sure if you've gone over it ever before, but the number one place in quotes country that spies on the U.S. more than anybody else is Israel.
Yep.
They spy on the U.S. more than any other nation, place on planet Earth. So it's to me the surveillance state, the in quote deep state is literally Zionist Israel, the Zionist entity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I think they're really upset with the idea of BRICS, because the deep state and the Federal Reserve and all that are just absolutely up each other's ass when you don't know where one ends and the next one begins. And that's probably why they're freaking out about BRICS, especially with Palestine wanting to join. That's probably why they're hoping. The UN has taken this soft fucking approach, and they've condemned Israel and basically give them a year to stop this. I'm like, a year? Everybody will be dead by then. All the Palestinians will be dead by the time they fucking get to a year. That is such a fucking weak ass thing. Like, that's crazy. And yep. So
and remember too, I mean, Gaddafi in Libya, they left him alone until he was, trying to return Africa to a gold-backed standard of banking and away from the usury monetary system. And as soon as he was trying to do that, that's when they went in and killed him.
Oh, you
still,
nerd. God dang it, Bone.
it's still been the same, reasons and causes for wars for hundreds, thousands of years. Control of the money, control of the monetary systems, the economics, control of the trade routes, control of the goods, control of, the gas flow, the oil flow, it's all the same wars are still being fought. They're just different now. They're a lot more propaganda.
Oh yeah, there's a fuck ton of
reaches
that.
a lot more people.
But I'm glad you mentioned the chips and stuff because that reminded me of the Intel deal. I was like, oh wait, that sounds familiar. Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not sure. Like, it's probably worth looking into more. Does Motorola use the Intel chips? Like, I mean, that would very
Good
much
question.
explain
I
how
hold on a second.
Israel was able to pull that off, right?
Motorola use Intel chips. Well, fuck me sideways. Let's see. Does Motorola, let's be specific, pagers by the early 90s. Jesus Christ. They don't even know what to say. Oh. Anybody feel familiar with that? What about? They're talking about old pagers, so 2002. Okay, asking about pagers probably confused it a little bit. What kind of what was it? Motorola walkie-talkies too, or are those walkie-talkies different?
I don't know. I'm not
Well,
sure. I was busy doing other stuff today, so I haven't looked too much into the walkie-talkie stuff that happened today.
But yes,
But I mean,
Motorola has used Intel chips in some of its devices, including the Razr, the Droid XY board. I don't know what the fuck that is. Intel is a leader in processing innovation and performance for PCs, laptop servers, and workstations. However, I gotta say it, ham my mouth. However, Intel is a niche player in the smart devices sector and has struggled to reduce its power consumption of its chips.
Hmm.
Let's see. So Intel does.
excuse me. So I mean, it is entirely a possibility.
Oh yeah.
It's something worth noting.
Oh yes, most definitely.
I would say it would explain a lot.
Yeah, it
Where
certainly
maybe
gives
they
the
didn't necessarily have to intercept a certain batch or have people inside working at the operations plant or taking orders, or they could just like already have this technology built into their freaking chips and just
Oh yeah.
track whatever, track down whatever, like it.
Yeah, including two children that I'm aware of. There was like a 9-year-old girl and another little boy. I think he was close to toddler age. When did someone stop being a toddler? Like what? Like 3? 2?
I would
Like
say,
I don't know when the toddler stage technically ends. I actually don't know. But the kid looked to be about 4 or 5. But I'm not a good judge of aging of a kid anyway. But yeah.
I'd say toddlers would end by the time they learn to walk. That's
Well, yeah,
the
but toddler,
transition where they're crawling around, they're toddling around, and then they learn to walk, stand upright, and so yeah, I agree with you. Around 3 probably.
Yeah. So yeah, this kid looked to be about maybe 4 or 5. Like I said, I'm not really good at determining age, and the picture could be a little bit old. I don't know. Either way, though, it's fucking horrible, and like it just makes me want to kick the TV screen when it says, the 10-year-old was like her parent was a Hezbollah member. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't care. You killed her. You killed a 10-year-old kid. I don't give a fuck what her dad does for a living. It's not her fault.
Yeah, are you liking the Dimitri interview? I think there's only like 5 or 10 minutes left of that, wasn't there?
I will go back to it. But
You
I
wanna finish that off,
I wanted to answer because he, Optic was like, "What's going on?" And so,
Well, yeah, and it's also we got a long sidetracked about the Intel chip thing, but it is noteworthy. So
yeah, it's
good
so
to
many
talk about.
interwoven parts. It's hard to, not go off in one place and another. Whew.
Battery. So there is bombs everywhere. And the main problem is Western product. So I think the West, it's been now almost a year that the West is committing suicide. They've already started committing suicide when they decided to destroy the gas pipelines of Russia and destroyed their own economies and slowed down their own progress. And now with using the technologies that the West is actually the only market that the West has right now in the world is for these luxury electronics that and you could imagine, of course, that all the governments in the world outside the imperial domains, they are going to ask all their staff and members and military and security services to mass dump Western electronic devices. And that's going to lead to what? Even if only if the government services in these countries decide they're not going to use Western devices, suddenly the prices of non-Western electronic devices will be cheaper in the market, right? And therefore, it will drive even the populations to go in that direction. And given all the hacks that we see of media workers, human rights workers, and so on, this is going to be a trend. The West is destroying its own economy by allowing these actions to happen. And I think it's a good day for all of humanity that we dump everything Western.
You know, one of the, again, insane ironies of this behavior is that for the last several years, Western governments, particularly the US hegemon, have waged a relentless campaign against the Chinese technology company Huawei, this extraordinary company, so innovative, massive, producing at relatively low cost technology of the highest caliber. And the pretext we were given for not allowing Huawei to establish itself in various sectors in Western economies was that it was tied too closely to the Chinese government and could be used, its technology could be used for various nefarious purposes by the Chinese state. And, you know, some of us, I'm sure you were one of them way back then when these arguments were being made, were saying, but wait a moment, we know that the major US technology companies are in bed with the Pentagon and with the CIA. Why would you trust American or other Western-made technology more than Chinese technology? It makes absolutely no sense. I'm sure that this terrorist attack is only going to heighten concerns about that. That certainly should. In any event, I would like to go back to the question of the response, Laith, and something occurred to me when I read a report just before we began speaking about the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon. Apparently, he was lightly injured by one of these exploding pagers. And immediately my mind turned to the Iranian retaliation, which has just not happened, has not yet happened. I would think that now would be an extraordinarily good time for Iran to join in a massive retaliatory strike with the Islamic resistance, because sympathy is going to be sky high for the Lebanese people. And whatever sympathy remained, you know, in the West for the Zionist regime will have been diminished. The Iranians have already showed an impressive degree of restraint by not having struck back in retaliation for the murder of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran on July 31st. And now they can say quite credibly, look, we waited, we held back, we hoped that something good would come of this. And we've learned yet again that the Zionist regime knows only one type of behavior, and that is constant escalation and terrorism. We have absolutely no choice. What do you think about all of this? Do you think this might be the moment when we finally see the massive Iranian retaliation that we expected after the killing of Haniyeh?
You know, it's hard really to tell. But what I can tell you from what I can analyze for the last few years is that the axis of resistance views Iran as the backbone, as the safe zone, as the producer, financer of the resistance, and would like to keep it as safe as possible. So, you know, it's similar to how people complain every time that Syria is attacked by the Zionists. Why isn't Syria responding? Why isn't Syria responding? Well, it's clear that Syria is the main supply route and producer of weapons handed over to Lebanon and to the resistance in Palestine. And therefore, it is in the, you know, top priority interest for the resistance in Lebanon and Palestine, not to allow Syria to fall back into that situation of 2011, 2012, when the West made it into a killing field and distracted the Syrian army away from the resistance and delayed what we are seeing today. This war of liberation would have happened in the early 2010s if the West didn't fabricate the Arab Spring with the help of Al Jazeera. So, although all of us want Iran to respond right now, we have to think about the response of Yemen and the actions of Lebanon over the last few days and the last few weeks as actually part of that response. And that the build up and the intensity escalation, ladder of escalation, whatever you want to call it, is going to be governed by the axis of resistance. They will not be forced into a reactionary position. So even this response of Hezbollah that we will be thinking about now to this horrendous terrorist attack, it will not be something that's going to happen in a minute or two. It's going to be thought out, and it's going to have a result that continues this war of attrition instead of a blow up of full out scale war that Israel and the West want. This war of attrition that's going to drag on until the American elections happen. The day of the American election, that may be the day that Iran responds, okay? That will force Gaza to be the #1 issue on the ballot. You see, this is where somebody playing chess like Iran will go for and not play the checkers game that the West is throwing in front of us.
Well, it's getting late here in occupied Cyprus. I'm sure the same is true in Lebanon. We're in the same time zone. Laith, thank you so much for joining me on short notice. Just as a closing note, Free Palestine TV is doing yeoman's work in the West Bank, the occupied West Bank. I know you've expanded your coverage there. Please check out Free Palestine TV on Twitter. They also have a website.
Yes, please, freepalestine.video is the website.
Right. And, having so many courageous reporters on the ground in the occupied West Bank reporting in real time is expensive. So please, if you can donate to the coverage that Free Palestine TV is doing, please do so. How can people do that, Laith?
Yes, you can go to the website, freepalestine.video. There's the donation button there. We encourage you to do a monthly subscription donation. This way we can stabilize our donations and expenses. We have already right now 7 reporters on the ground in the West Bank in all parts, reporting 1-2 reports a day, plus our reporters here in South Lebanon. Please, please, please donate on freepalestine.video.
And one last note, I'm actually just a stone's throw away from the British military base, Akrotiri, which has been shoveling massive amounts of weaponry to the genocidal regime in Palestine over the last year. Yesterday, I witnessed a number of warplanes take off from Akrotiri in the direction of Egypt. I don't want to get into the particular details of it, but the next couple of days, you're going to see some reporting from me on that front as well. So for now, this is Dimitri Lascaris and Laith Marouf signing off on September 17th, 2024.
I can't wait to see his reporting about that military base.
Yeah, just to add there for a second, you heard Dimitri say he was in occupied Cyprus.
Yeah.
He's in southern Cyprus. There's a number of Israelis who have traveled. They've pretty much taken over Cyprus to a big degree.
Oh, wow.
And just of note, Tommy Robinson of the UK, he kind of got fired up those protests quite a bit and then left. And when he left, that's actually where he went, was Cyprus.
Oh,
to hang out with
wow. Holy shit. What a
Israeli
piece of
residents.
shit. Oh, my God.
So yeah, that was widely reported. He was photographed there hanging out with the Israelis there who've taken over Cyprus. So
I hope he stays there.
Dimitri, boots on the ground, and he's been in Lebanon, southern Lebanon, at the Israel border, almost pretty much a couple times the past couple months. He's traveled to Venezuela recently with their election, and yeah, he travels around. He covers some things. You know, he doesn't care what the truth is, just whatever the truth may be. So
That is
he's
cool.
Canadian. Yeah, yeah. He's been stationed in Greece there. His name's Dimitri, quite a Grecian name, but yeah, good guy. He ran for political office here, a member of the Green Party, and then he ran for the leadership, and unfortunately came in second. But
Well,
so.
after all this, they'll probably do what they can to make sure he doesn't get elected.
Yeah, he actually just did a little rant there the other day, kind of about some of his story and how he's kind of ended up where he is, and he was a lawyer. He did work for Goldman Sachs, etc. Left a bad taste in his mouth, and he goes through kind of a rundown of where he's been and what he's done, and kind of what's led him to where he is now. So it's a good story, and yeah, yeah. He appears to be pretty much on the up and up, as I can tell. So I've been
God,
supporting him for a little bit. So
thank goodness.
y'all go check it out for yourself. So make up your own damn minds. Nobody's influencing you to do nothing. Go
Right.
Dimitri Lascaris, YouTube.
Did you
Yeah,
put his link in the chat?
I didn't put his link in. I don't have a wrench. I can't put links in, but
You don't have
nobody else.
wrench? Oh, hi. Oh, Curtis YZ. Hi. Sorry, I didn't realize he came in. I'm sorry. I would
But I
have said
did
hi
say Dimitri
sooner.
Lascaris on YouTube.
Oh, I
You
feel
highlighted
terrible. I'm sorry. I feel like a dick. And Sashi, of course. I heard you welcome Sashi. I feel bad.
it.
Hold
But yeah,
on.
but by all means, go check it out. Make up your own mind. Yeah, like I said, he's been boots on the ground going around southern Lebanon and now in Cyprus. He was just recently in Venezuela. So
Ooh, can you write something in the chat? Well, I mean, it's way up here. Yeah, it's not. It's so far up that it's not showing the last thing you wrote. So I don't know why you're not. You're supposed to be a mod on here. What the fuck? I'll fix that here in a second. My bad. There we go. Let's see. Add as moderator. It says managing moderator and standard. I don't really see there's a difference, but there you go. Anywho's. All right. Ooh, I actually ran longer than I meant to. So I'm going to be showing a movie here in a few minutes called The Hounds of War. The preview looked pretty good, so why not? So it's been a couple of days since I played a movie for everyone, so if y'all want, look up Hounds of War. Kind of like another word for a dog, hound. Sometimes my speaking isn't very clear, so I try to make sure that I'm understood. So Hounds of War. The preview looks pretty cool, so if you're interested, I will be starting it, I think around 9. I think that's when I have it set up for. So
like 15 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 15 minutes probably would have been better to say since other people are in different time zones. So yeah, that's my bad on that. Yes, but 15 minutes is still 15 minutes. So anyways, Brett, it's been awesome. Appreciate you coming to hang out with us. We should do this more.
Yes, thank you very much for having me, and I agree.
Let's see.
No, it was
All
very good. And yeah, I can't imagine it went over, but that was good to hear from Dimitri in the interview there.
Oh.
I put the trailer in, Hounds of War trailer there. So
yes. So
and yeah, thank you again.
check it out. See if you're interested, and I'll meet y'all here in 15 minutes or so. So, that is so weird. Apparently, my TikTok keeps opening back up and playing videos, even though I close it down. That's fucking weird. It's been doing that a lot lately. I'm starting to kind of get suspicious of my phone. But let's see. For real. So,
Does it have an Intel chip?
I probably do. I feel like toss it in the trash can now. Or like, a thick container. I don't know if I have a really thick container that can take a blast. Oh, there's a refrigerator. I know it's very white trash, but there's a refrigerator outside, one of those steel ones my friend got, and it stopped working. He's been meaning to fix it. I could throw it in there. That would probably sustain a blast. It looks like it would.
There
He's
you
gonna be
go.
like, "What the fuck happened to my refrigerator?" I'll be like, "Funny thing, my phone is full." So hugs to Bone, to Optic Racer, hello to Pam, and let's see, and DJ B2. I'm sorry, my brain moved the B and the D together. Sorry. Let's see. G is me. Hello to you. Hugs to Curtis YZ, and to Sashi, of course. He's lovely. And Freakin' and 9 Hertz. Thank you so much for coming by. Hugs to JR Truckin' and Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. And of course, Miss Frosty. Mwah, and Curtis Shelby. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming to visit. And hopefully I'll see y'all in 15 minutes for the movie. Oh, and did you put your link in the chat?
Me no.
Oh, you should.
Yeah,
Because
go get your drinks, go to the washroom, get set up.
get popcorn ready and all that good stuff. And y'all can subscribe to Brett here. Also, the Frosty Brew Rocks. If you like have live streams with nice bonfires and watching him go unhinged on motherfuckers, hey, this is a channel for you. Sometimes you just want to hear people fight it out. You're like, yeah.
Pretty random over there. You never know what you're gonna get.
You gotta love that though. But all right, let's get our little
All right.
song ready.
Thank you. Yep, play your outro. Cheers, everybody.
Welcome to the shit show. Every single day, a new flavor of fuckery. Cause everybody's such, you see, and they're dumber than a bag of clots. Monday, bullshit. Tuesday, bullshit. Wednesday, hey, what the fuck? And then 4 more days of increasingly stupid, ridiculous, ignorant, boulder, dash, poppycock, bollocks, and fuckery.